Hi everyone, welcome to this virtual fireside chat with Google Cloud. I'm Pip White, Managing Director of the UK and Ireland for Google Cloud, and I'm really excited to be speaking today with Rana Bhattacharya, who's the CTO from our customer Atom Bank. So for those that are not aware of Atom Bank, Rana, please could you share a little about the company and your role there?
Thanks, Pip. So my name's Rana Bhattacharya. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for Atom Bank. I've been in the bank for about 4 years, and I was really brought on to effectively modernise the bank. My remit covers areas such as architecture, engineering, QA and testing, live service, security, and data. In terms of the bank, we were launched in April 2016 to the public, and we were launched as the first mobile-only bank in the UK. At the same time, we were the first bank to launch with biometrics. And over the time, we've got to a good position where we're 2 billion on both sides of the balance sheets in terms of deposits and lending.
Sounds like you've been on a rocket ship ride, and it would be great to know a bit more, Rana, about how Atom Bank have been using Google Cloud on that journey.
Sure. So when the bank was formed in April 2016, we were using third-party data centers. And from that point, we felt in terms of pace, we really wanted to adopt a cloud. And we went through a process to effectively select a cloud partner, and we selected Google Cloud. With that, we've been incrementally moving our workloads from data centers over to Google Cloud, as well as effectively re-architecting, re-platforming the bank.
I also understand that you recently completed a large modernization project, and I'd love to learn a bit more about that, what that involved and how you undertook that project.
So we've effectively rebuilt the whole bank, and we've rebuilt it to be a cloud-native solution running on Google Cloud. So we embarked on a journey where we basically incrementally re-architected, call it our new bank, and had it running alongside our old banking stack. And in September 2020, we basically, not only did we launch our new banking stack, we also launched a new product, the Instant Access Saver. And the commentary we got from our customers on the back of that launch was phenomenal in terms of, the consensus in terms of sentiment was really, it was easy, fast, secure, reliable. Those were the kind of sentiment the customer was offering on the back of a transformation and launch of this new product. And at the same time, within this transformation journey, we increased the customer satisfaction scores. So before we started this transformation, for example, we were below 3-star for the App Store rating and Play Store rating. Now we're 4.7 for the App Store, roughly 4.3, 4.4 for the Play Store, and 4.7 on Trustpilot. So we have very high customer scores, and this is predominantly we've re-architected the bank, but we've changed some of our customer journeys to take some of the friction out in terms of onboarding and acquiring new products.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. And what would you say have been the most impressive benefits that you're seeing by having migrated to Google Cloud?
So as we moved on to Google Cloud, I think a combination of Google Cloud plus using DevOps gives you a lot of reliability and pace. I'll give you an example. So historically, if you wanted to create a new environment, a non-production environment in the data centers, we were quoted 42 weeks, for example. But with Google Cloud and leveraging DevOps, we could create a repeatable process where we could spin up a brand new non-production environment in a week. And when you have that sort of ability, it removes some of the business barriers for doing change. So effectively, you don't need to worry about how many environments you have, because you can actually spin them up, and also you can spin them down when you're done with them. So pace of delivery environments was something that I think is very impressive. And the other element is there's a big focus really around resilience, especially within banking. We've got the level of monitoring and control by virtue of we owning the stack that sits on Google Cloud. And so we can basically configure our own kind of monitoring and alerting, and we get more insight into how the bank is operating and the health of the stack. where we could take action when we see something not quite working before there's actually any detriment to the customer. So we've significantly improved our ability to look after our stack and improve the experience for our customers by moving on to Google Cloud.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And what made you choose us? What made you choose Google Cloud?
We were looking for a partner, and in reflecting back now on our journey with Google Cloud, we did have a partner on our side where basically, if we had a problem, it wasn't about, oh, you can't get that through the contract. Someone from Google came to help us get over our problem and keep our progress on our transformation journey going. And that was very refreshing, especially in terms of when you actually talk about partners, because I've got a phrase around, suppliers and partners. And, with partners, you have a relationship that goes above and beyond the contract. And that's what we've got with Google Cloud.
Yeah, and we're obviously very grateful for that also. Did you have any doubts when you were considering cloud, and how did we at Google Cloud help you manage these concerns?
So from my perspective, I was very keen to move on to the cloud and work with Google Cloud. Obviously, I had to go through a process of call it engaging my colleagues within the bank, engaging with board members and engaging with the regulators. We worked with a unit within Google Cloud called G-Trust. And G-Trust gave us a lot of information around the security models that are being used by Google Cloud, and also the types of certifications that Google have around security and auditing, etc. As well as the fact that G-Trust was engaging with the regulators around the world. And this gave us a view of information that I used to engage with my colleagues within the bank, the board, and the regulators to make sure they had confidence that we were doing the right thing by moving on to Google Cloud.
Yeah, thank you for that. So as a digital first company, we could assume as listeners here that Atom Bank would have been better prepared to adapt during the pandemic that we've all been facing throughout this year. Has that been the case, and what have been some of the things that have surprised you along the way during this time?
Okay, so quite often when you talk about this topic, a lot of organizations talk about collaboration suites, but in reality, you're going to need to have, especially for a bank, you're going to need to have a number of business applications available to your employees. So in about 2 weeks, we had a core home working solution created on the cloud, which allowed us to move our employees safely home so they could support our customers, and not just using collaboration suites, but also actual business applications which could be used safely at home by our employees.
Okay, thank you. So obviously you've been pretty busy, Rana, but what's next in your journey to building a digital first bank? How do you drive growth in your market, and how do you stay continually ahead of technology trends?
We have been on a journey to launch a brand new banking stack on Google Cloud, and we've launched our first product on it. Right now, in fact, we've even launched our second product on this new banking stack, in terms of we are migrating customers from our old banking stack over to the new one. So we've launched a fixed rate saver proposition. We are going to effectively consolidate on our stack and use this stack to effectively build out a broader set of products and services in time. And that's kind of really the focus right now, to make sure we move away from our old stack and have cut the cord, so to speak. And in terms of future technology, I think we've gone through a massive transformation journey. So I think we're going to obviously exercise the new platform, but we'll take a breath before we kind of start loading on lots of new beautiful technology.
Yeah. A slightly different question now, but I think hopefully an important one from your perspective as well as mine. And you're relatively young company, and you have the ability to sort of shape and influence the culture of that company as you grow. What role do you see DEI playing as Atom Bank continues on that growth journey?
Diversity, equality, and inclusion is massively important to the bank. We want to create an organisation that has a true sense of belonging, to encourage underrepresented groups to join us. We're fighting for technical talent across the board, not just Atom, but other organisations as well. So it's very important for us to basically embrace all that who want to join the bank. And we don't want to have barriers for this. We want basically to have everyone who would like to join the bank, because you know what, our customers, we want them to be diverse, and our workforce needs to be diverse as well.
Well, Rana, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been so interesting to hear how Atom Bank are using cloud technology to create a great customer experience and obviously drive innovation in the banking space. I look forward to following the Atom journey in the future and to our continued partnership, of course. So thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Well, Pip, thank you for the opportunity to tell you about the Atom Bank journey, and also thank you for Google Cloud support as well on this journey. Thank you very much.